Yo, what is up, guys? Underrated Major. Today I'm going to be doing a video discussing brand new Edolas counterparts. Now, when it comes to the Edolas world, we know that Edolas is basically an alternate world of the current world that we are in Fairy Tail. Yes, I know I just said world a lot. That's kind of got me a little bit tongue twisted, but we know that's basically a world where basically everything's the opposite. We saw people like Natsu, who in this in our world, he's basically like a very outgoing, loud, just the your typical shonen main character type is character. And then in the Edolas world, he's basically like a coward. He's quiet. The funny thing about Natsu is that in this world, he can't even ride in vehicles without getting like car sick. But in that world, he's basically like a master at driving. And the same thing goes with Lucy. Lucy is basically like a very quiet, nice person. But in the other world, she's all outgoing. She's a savage and everything. So basically, that Edolas world is like a count. It's like a mirror world. What you have in the main world, you're not going to get in the other world. But one of the biggest things about Edolas that got me thinking, just has me so amazed, is the counterparts. Now, I know some people that might be thinking, what do you mean by the counterparts? Well, this is what I mean. We've seen so many people in the Edolas world get counterparts that aren't necessarily important. Like half of the Fairy Tail guild that got counterparts, I'm gonna be honest, if you're not Natsu, Lucy, Wendy, Gray, Gajil, Laxus, Urza, the main cast of people, if you're not one of those people, yeah, then I don't really care for you. Like Jed, Joy, like those guys, let's be honest, they got counterparts and they're not even, I don't even know how they act in the regular world, so I didn't even know which one was being the opposite. But no, on a serious note, there were a lot of characters who did not get counterparts, and today I'm just going to be doing a video discussing on some of the certain characters who didn't get a counterpart that I think should have, or they still can get a counterpart, because I don't know if we're going to be done with the Edolas world completely. I don't know if we're ever going to revisit it, because there might be a chance, although I don't know if it's going to be too likely. Me personally, I think that if we do revisit the Edolas world, then it can't be something like where everybody goes. It'll have to be somebody goes on their own. But number one, Igneel. Now, Igneel has been one of the most shocking characters not to get an Edolas counterpart, because we've seen other dragons like Grandini, she got a counterpart, and Polusha, she was basically living in the Earthland for a long time. So a lot of people there are wondering, is Igneel going to get a counterpart? Is he going to have somebody walk in this earth or walk in our world that's similar to how Grandini has Polusha? Now, a lot of people, they've been suspecting Guildarts, which I'm gonna be honest, Guildarts is not a bad idea. Like, I can't even hate Guildarts is not a bad idea, because number one, we know that Guildarts, he's basically Natsu's father, and I'm using parentheses because like he's actually not his father, but basically he's the one who raised him, he's the one who taught him everything. And that's basically the same thing with Igneel. I mean, Igneel taught Natsu everything. Guildarts and Igneel, they have a lot in common. They're both absent from Natsu's life, even though they're both very, very major influences on Natsu. They both taught him and everything. So Guildarts, he is a plausible cause for being Igneel's counterpart, but do I think he is? No, I don't think that Guildarts is from Igneel's counterpart. And one of the reasons why is because Guildarts, he's just been everywhere. Now, I know there's been a little side story where, I don't know if you guys might have read this, but basically it's called Fairy Tail Ice Trail, and we saw Guildarts actually like roaming around like with Gray and everything. So yeah, Guildarts, he's basically been doing his own thing for a while. So I don't know if he'll be a counterpart. Like I said, I don't think he is, but there is certainly a lot of evidence. Another example of evidence is basically him versus Acnologia. I mean, they both got their arms taken off, except Guildarts, he didn't get stomped out and get like straight up demolished like Igneel. But yeah, there's a lot of evidence saying that Guildarts could be his counterpart. I don't think he is, but I'm not going to be mad if he is. Next one is Acnologia, and yes, we're staying on topic of the dragons. And Acnologia, this is pretty much the same boat as Igneel. They're both very, very important dragons in the series. We know that they're going to play a huge role in the end, especially Acnologia, since he is the final villain. We know that he's going to have to do something. And one of the biggest things I want to know is that Acnologia is basically seen as like the strongest in our current world. So has he ever traveled to Edolas? Has he ever mended around that little area of that world? Like, did Acnologia ever go there? Now, I've been seeing theories of people saying Zeref is Acnologia's Edolas counterpart, but I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to spoil anime onlys. But yeah, that's pretty much been debunked. Zeref is not Acnologia's counterpart, and I've been seeing stuff like Happy is Acnologia's counterpart. I made a video on that a while ago. Check it out if you want to, but yeah, I don't know if Happy is going to be acting like his counterpart, but the video, it did have a lot of evidence, and I mean, it had me shook. I'm not gonna lie, the video had me shook. The evidence, shout out to the deviant artist who was basically able to come up with all that, but I don't think that Happy is going to be acting like his counterpart 100%. If he does have one, I think it'll be somebody completely new, and I think it'll be cool if it was, or if it wasn't Happy. I just think that would be cool if he did have a counterpart. The next one is Zeref, and this is kind of similar to Acnologia. Now, we know that Acnologia or Zeref, they're basically another huge villain in the series, and this is kind of strange because Zeref, he's been around the mainland for a while, over 400 years, and Zeref, he's basically had a huge role in fairy tales. So the fact that Zeref, he doesn't have a counterpart, that's kind of spooky. And on top of that, we basically know that Zeref, he has been doing stuff with time travel. I mean, I'm not trying to spoil too much for anime onlys, but we know that he's able to like basically, well, he's not him by himself, but with the help of others. I'm not going to say who, but with the help of others, he's able to like time travel and manipulate time and everything. So Zeref is definitely a plausible cause for somebody who's possibly been to Earthland. We know that Zeref, he was basically regarded as a huge, like as one of the best mages when he was younger. So I think it's not too far-fetched to say that Zeref, he could possibly have traveled to the Edolas world. And as far as his counterpart, I do think it would be dope if we did get to see one, because Zeref, he's such like, it would be weird because we know that Zeref, like originally he's a nice person, but then now that we know that Zeref has like a split personality, he's an evil person. So his counterpart, it would be like an evil person, like if you know what I'm saying, like his counterpart, it would be, it's like we already have one, if you know what I'm saying, like because we already see two sides of Zeref that are polar opposites. So I think it would be dope if his counterpart was like, I don't know, maybe something that we haven't seen before, I don't know, but Zeref, he's definitely one that we have to see. Now the next one is Mavis, and this is similar to Zeref. This is another important character and really important that, and I'm actually something we didn't get to see here because the fairy tale guild is in the Edolas world, and we know that Mavis is the founder of fairy tale. So how did fairy tale come to start if there isn't no Mavis? Now I'm not saying that there isn't a Mavis 100%, because we know that in the Earthland, we know that Mavis basically, she was able to, I guess you could say, prolong her death basically through the whole Ankh-Sram curse, and basically she was sealed up inside a fairy heart. They preserved her body and everything, but in the Edolas world, we know that magic is limited there, so that could be one of the reasons why Mavis actually died. And the same thing goes for Zeref too. We know that Zeref, he was basically like 400 years old, so maybe they actually died of like a natural age, because, or natural cause, because we know that magic is very limited over there. So maybe Mavis actually did die when she was supposed to die. And this actually leads me into another character. I'm going to talk about him later on in the video because I don't want to like get too far ahead, but Mavis, yeah, I definitely do think that she should have a counterpart simply because fairy tale's there. Now, it would be interesting seeing like a opposite Mavis, because we see her as such a nice and caring person. So it would be pretty cool to see how that turned out. Gildarts, and Gildarts, this is kind of similar to Igneel, but I'm gonna go over it because Gildarts, whether or not you think that Igneel's his counterpart, or he is Igneel's counterpart, he still needs an Edolas counterpart, because I was shocked when we didn't see Gildarts. Granted, he is away from the story the majority of the time, but I still think that Gildarts, he's one of those most important people in fairy tale. I mean, at the time, you could pretty much argue and say that Gildarts was the strongest person in fairy tale. So the fact that he wasn't there, that got me a little bit shook. So I was like, no Gildarts? I mean, this is pretty much the strongest guy in fairy tale, and he doesn't even get a counterpart? Yeah, something's going up. So yeah, Gildarts, he definitely needs one. And I think that his counterpart, it would be interesting, because Gildarts, he's like a lazy, laid-back person, but if he did get somebody who was his counterpart, he would kind of be more active in the fairy tale guild, you know, he would actually be more involved with fairy tale. So I think it would be dope if we did get to see a Gildarts. Next one is Sting and Rogue. Now, Sting and Rogue, this one is interesting too because we know that basically the five first generation or the three first generation Drag Slayers along with the two third generation Drag Slayers, they are all very important. Like those five are very, very important. And the fact that these two weren't actually in the story, that's like, or not in the story, but in the Edolas world, I'm like, ooh, like maybe this one I'm thinking of, maybe like Hero Marshman didn't think of them yet. So we could probably chalk it up to that, saying that, oh, they weren't even in the story yet. So how could they have a counterpart? But nonetheless, this is one of the reasons why I believe that we might have to revisit the Edolas counterpart. And or the Edolas world, and I can kind of understand why they weren't in the story because at that time, we were only focusing on Fairy Tale Guild. I mean, the Fairy Tale Guild was really the main place that we went. It's not like that we went like all over the Edolas world. So maybe they just didn't go to like the Sabretooth Guild or anything. Maybe Sting and Rogue's counterparts are still in there. But I can really see their counterparts basically being like reverse of each other. Like we know how Rogue is basically the calm and collective one, and Sting is basically like Natsu 2.0. So I think it would be dope if their counterparts were basically like the opposite of their personalities. Whereas Sting, he would be the cool, calm, and collective one, and Rogue, he would basically be the loud and the Natsu 2.0. The next one is Leyla Heartfilia, and Lucy's mom is in here because we know that she played a very important role when it comes to the Dragon Slayers, and basically their whole plan was zeref and all that stuff. So I think it would be cool if we did get to see Leyla. And basically this is one because Lucy, I mean, we saw how Lucy was acting, and maybe, well, we know that in the main world, Lucy, she ran away from home basically, so she actually did develop some of that by herself. But I want to see Leyla because she had a huge role in the series. Just a short reason why I want to see her. Now the next and or the last and final one is a bit of a spoiler, but this is what I was saving for the end of the video, and that is Larcade Dragneel. Now we basically know that Larcade, he is the son of Zeref and Mavis, and this is what I was kind of hinting at earlier on in the video. We know that, well, we can assume that since the Edolas world is pretty much low on magic, that they couldn't preserve Mavis's body. Therefore, Zeref and Mavis, they all died of a natural death. And this is kind of similar to Larcade. This got me thinking, did like if Zeref and Mavis did still get together in the Edolas world like they did in the mainland, then does this mean that Larcade died of a natural death too? Like Natsu never knew about him. So yeah, that's one of the things about Larcade. And we know that he's a Dragneel member, so he's very, very important. And I think that this could also be chalked up as another Sting and Rogue case, whereas the character wasn't introduced yet into the story, so that's probably why we didn't get to see him. But overall, that's basically it for the Edolas counterparts that I want to see. Which counterparts are you guys interested in? If I missed any, make sure you let me know in the comment section down below. Comment what you guys see down below. Subscribe if you haven't.